So the rest of the afternoon, we're going to be talking about leadership. It'll get more interactive as we go. I have like just some information to share, and then we're going to chat at your tables, etc. So I just wanted to start with, so L is leadership. It's the leadership in Lend. It's the L in the life framework. And thanks, Mike. So it's really essential to everything that we do. So this is the definition that the Maternal Child Health Bureau uses. If you recall, LEND is funded through HRSA Health Resources Services Administration, which is part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And we're housed in the Maternal Child Health Bureau. And this is their definition of what is a leader. So an MCH leader inspires and brings people together to achieve sustainable results to improve the lives of the MCH population. I really, there are like several words in here that I like. The word inspire, bringing people together, creating sustainable results, and improving lives. Does this, just with a show of hands, does this definition feel like too huge, or is this in the spirit of what we talked about last time? Lollipop moments and the shirtless dancing guy. Does it feel kind of in the realm of like, I might be able to do that? So everything for leadership, there are leadership competencies that have been around since 2007. And they were, I'm not going to go through this, it's a little bit boring, but it was based on some science. They went through a 3-year iterative process to figure out what are the key things that you should learn as a leader. So that was in 2007, they were updated in 2009, again in 2018. And then in 2023, things were changing, but in a really good way. The leadership competency used to be called cultural competency. They broadened it to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. DEIA, you can't hate that. Family professional partnerships was changed to honoring lived experience. And then came 2025. And we talked about this a little bit last time. The leadership competency for DEIA, we can't use those terms anymore. We can't use the acronym anymore. And now it's creating responsive and effective maternal child health systems. Despite all this evolution, it's still pretty much the same. And then I just have this in here if you want to do a deeper dive in that most recent change. So the life framework, we talked about it last time. L is for leadership, I is for interprofessional partnerships, F is for family center, you're honoring lived experience, and E is for effectiveness, formerly equity. And the thing about the life framework that I like to say is, and I can't remember if I said this last time, but the life framework, you might get little bits and pieces of any one of these elements in training that you've had, but you're probably not going to have it hammered home again and again and all together every single time. So that's something that we hope is a differentiator for this learning experience. Oops. So this is the leadership conceptual framework. It starts, there are 3 concentric circles. The inner circle is that you begin your leadership development by working on your own personal leadership skills. Then you evolve over time. I'm working with others. And then that outer circle is wider community. And I was thinking as Casey was doing her presentation, that I don't know if in the wider community that fits in like that cultural model, as opposed to, kind of thinking about what is beautiful and ideals, but I'd like to think it's in that wider community. So the framework that we have, this is how our curriculum is modeled. We do a lot in the beginning, I'll go right here, on developing your knowledge base, your skills. We're going to talk today about your strengths, and some critical thinking. That's kind of the beginning part. Not to say that all these things happen separately, it's kind of interwoven, but that is what the focus will be for this earlier part of the program. And then working with others, and these are each of the competencies. I should just go back here. So there are 4 competencies in that inner circle. Then we focus on working with others, working with each other as colleagues, and working with children and families, working within your discipline, across your discipline, and the competencies are listed there. And then finally, we go to that outer circle, which is working with communities and systems, really looking at systems change, policy, and advocacy. Any questions on that? I don't think I need to belabor this because I'd rather kind of get to more of the meat. We embed the life framework in everything that we do, every aspect of the curriculum. I hope life will be something that sticks with you. And so one of the purposes of the life framework is there are 12 leadership competencies. I don't know how to make those into an acronym, but this is just a quick and easy way to, like a mnemonic device, an easy way to remember, like, I want to be thinking about these key overarching competencies and make sure that I'm reflecting on those as a leader. And so a couple of years back, we did a paper, we submitted a journal article that was published in the Maternal Child Health Journal called Using a Life Framework to Develop MCH Leaders. And this just shows how the different competencies, individual competencies, map with the life framework. And I think it does so pretty nicely. And you'll see that the E is equity there because that was when it was equity. It still is equity, but we call it effectiveness now. And what we were able to show is that there was improvement. You did a whole laundry list of assessments when you first started the program, and you'll do those again at the end. Every single one of those was shown to be improved with the program. So we hope that's the case for you. And then this is something near and dear to my heart because I'm a public health person, I'm an epidemiologist by training, and the strong overlay between public health and maternal child health and being a maternal child health leader. Now, whether your discipline is in the medical field or the health field, doesn't matter because you are still MCH leaders. So these are public health competency domains. Within those domains, there's anywhere from like 3 to 10 competencies. It's a really long list. So here they're listed by domains. And then we also were able to show how those public health competency domains map to the life framework. And just stop me with questions. I think it's hopefully pretty straightforward. So this is where I wanted to spend a little more time. I can't remember who the other day, it was on our Tuesday Zoom session. It was right at the end. We didn't have a lot of time. Who raised that? Thank you, Aisha. About this whole thing about the announcement. I guess that was it only last week, a week ago? It seems like 100 years ago. About this statement that the administration made about avoiding Tylenol use during pregnancy due to potential autism risk. So there probably has been some discussions, but I feel like if we don't have a discussion here, I would feel that we'd be remiss. So I just want to ask you all, what are some of the problems with this statement?
Where do we start?
No, where do we start? Yeah.
First.
Just one thing that really bugs me about a lot, like this pattern of behavior is like just the lack of medical and scientific evidence that backs these headlines. It's really wrong and also misleading, and it's just hard to correct when something's out there. So
Yeah, so misinformation based on misinformation. And we can talk a little bit more about that. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I think within a lot of public health right now, there's a large issue from all parties that we do a lot of correlation equals causation. And in the scientific world, we very much know that that is very much not the case, and we have to be very careful on our wording. Any scientific paper that you will ever see, hopefully, as long as it's being written well, will never say that one is the other. And unfortunately, I think for when it comes to people that are not necessarily from the scientific community, some individuals, including like my parents, honestly, we've had these conversations where it's like, no, they said that this is correlated with that, and then that means that this causes this. I'm like, well, sure, ice cream may be sold on Tuesdays, and so does like lung cancer rise on Tuesdays, but that doesn't mean that ice cream causes lung cancer, and doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, it's funny, I had an example that I heard, I think it's a very good one, and there's something that's called confounding, so that just because two things are associated doesn't mean one leads to the other. And mine had to do with ice cream too, but as ice cream sales go up, shark attacks go up. Why might that be? Summer. So does ice cream cause shark attacks?
Summer does.
Summer does. So it's warmer weather, people going in the water. Aisha?
So, the additional, this added to the stigma where, parents previously that may have not wanted to have, their children tested for autism, this is a factor. Also the additional grief, that some parents have faced with, their child, having, autism, leading to that. And one of my, what was it, the other day, my daughter was like, hey, my head hurts. And I'm like, oh my God, a Tylenol. She's like, no. So it sent her into like a whole tangent. Like she ended up having a moment to herself. And I'm like, hey, no, Tylenol did not cause autism. I'm like, if you like, we can find an alternative, method. So
Yeah, and you brought up a lot there, Aisha, and just that, I think you were kind of touching on this too, that there's a blame game in there of like saying, oh, if you took Tylenol, then, mother took Tylenol, it's putting blame on the mother. And then just the fear of, I've had it. And I want to go back to this issue of confounding and the sign, like, what's the challenge? What might be the underlying factors that might cause that association? So if it's not Tylenol, what might be going on that would say a mother who takes Tylenol during pregnancy and then that child has autism? What might explain that association?
Yeah, so I wanted to make something on Aisha's point, about the stigma is that it's highly irresponsible and unscientific, but you're cutting SNAP benefits, you're cutting Medicaid, you're cutting funding to special education programs. So now you're raising the alarm on autism, but we are already a vastly under-resourced system. Where are the people gonna go? Where are the paraprofessionals, the ABA therapists, the neuropsych people? There are 3-year wait lists for autism evaluation. You're not providing people with an alternative. And also, let's just think about it. I think as of 2020, the autism occurrence rates in the US were 1 in 36. So does that mean everybody in this room is autistic? Because more likely than not, somebody's mom took a Tylenol at some point, and we don't have, overflowing autism rates. They're probably much higher. But I think it just, like Aisha says, it adds to stigma and it makes people desperate to do things they wouldn't otherwise do. And that puts our most vulnerable in harm's way for, neglect, abuse by caregivers. So,
you raise so much, and I think back to Casey's slide with all the, the causes, the 2 columns, and it just like, not only is this misinformation coming out, but it's in a context of further budget cuts. So the resources are getting scarcer and scarcer. So it's really troubling at so many levels. I do want to go back, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna answer.
Yes, please.
That the underlying reason as to why mothers feel like they need to take Tylenol in the
Yes.
first place can be due to a lot of things, which may have caused. I mean, I don't even want to say anything that the mother does causes autism,
Exactly.
but if you have like severe headaches or like some things that you feel like is wrong within your body that causes you to take the Tylenol, like could there be something else underlying that is affecting the baby in some other way?
Absolutely, and what might be another reason a mother takes, like, what's the one thing that Tylenol is really known for? It's to help bring down fever. Yeah, that's a really excellent point. But that looks like Zach has that.
Yeah, I just wanted to actually touch on something that Charlotte mentioned of that, we are seeing a lot of defunding of resources, but it was interesting that when this announcement was released, my mom got excited. I was like, why are you excited about this? This is not having any scientific proof or anything. And her excitement was, she was like, because for once autism is on the news. And she got really excited about the fact that for once, it seemed like the government was making something like this mainstream. But then it posed that argument of, well, is it in the best light that you want this mainstream? So it is very much this dichotomy of, there appears to be an attempt towards like, oh, let's help this community, but also let's behind the scenes cut a bunch of the stuff that we actually need. So it's a very much back and forth.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Sort of an unintended consequence is elevating autism in the news and in the world today. And there, I mean, I can't remember, I think it was on this same day, there was talk about treatment, like a drug that could cure autism. Same kind of thing, not necessarily based in good science. And then, of course, we have the whole other piece, and I don't even know if as last I heard, and now with the government shutdown, the CDC has not given its COVID vaccine recommendations. With this whole connection between vaccines, fear that vaccines cause autism. So there's a lot of the misinformation and people are scared and anxious that can cause a lot of harm. So yes, it can bring up the attention up, but I'm not, to your point, Zach, and to your point, Charlotte, I'm not seeing the resources that would really elevate and lift people with autism. So make sure and the last thing I wanted to ask you, what does this mean as a lead? Like some of you are physicians and, audiologists, or you're in the field, and some of you are not. You bring different perspectives and different roles. But as leaders, what do you think is important for you? How can you help here?
As I'm walking over, I think a big role you all have is to provide accurate, factual information. When anyone comes to you and said, "Oh, I swear I didn't know." When someone comes to you and says these things, you can provide informed responses, right? And there you go.
So I will say, like, I work for a HRSA grantee full-time at Wayne State, and one of our advisory board members is the chief medical director for the city of Detroit, and she's a trained OBGYN. So on her platform, she has been sharing the ACOG statements on autism. Now, because of my precarious federal situation, I can't necessarily, say, but I know on my personal platform, like on LinkedIn, the AAP course we're taking, I said, if you're a self-advocate, I think it's important for you to fully educate yourself on the full spectrum of autism. Here's a free course anybody can take. And a lot of people found that helpful when I shared it on social media, because as a self-advocate, my lived experience is one lived experience out of a bajillion. I would never be a full expert on autism or developmental and intellectual disabilities, but I think it's important to provide people. It's not enough to tell people to study. You kind of have to lead them to water and provide them with the resources. It's up to them if they want to take it or accept the information. But as leaders in this field, it's important to kind of equip people to combat against this misinformation.
Yeah, and you raised a really good point, Charlotte, that you don't have to be the expert. You don't have to know everything about autism or Tylenol or vaccines or pregnancy, or you don't have to be the expert, but it's really just helping direct people to the right sources. So I think, and I was so pleased to see, I bet there are other statements out there. These are the ones that I found. So, and these are hyperlinks, so the slides are on the canvas. They will-
Yes, I have to add the updated deck, but they'll be on there.
Yeah, so these are all hyperlinks, so you can drag, well, I hope they're hyperlinks, they're intended to be
They are.
hyperlinked there, okay. Yeah, so I think that it's really important to do that. The other thing I wanted, one other point I wanted to make, is that autism has been around longer than Tylenol. And so, I mean, that's just one thing right there, like, okay, it can't be the only cause, and it's just, with any condition, it's complex, and there's genetics, and there's just it's multifactorial, and I just think that there's a certain humility that I think one should have before making really sweeping statements such as that without the evidence base. So I think it's just, even if someone asked you, like, oh, I heard you're in the Lent program, like, if you don't know, say, to have the humility, say, I don't know, but I know there's there's some really good statements out there that are based on fact. And, you might want to check that out. So it's okay not, we can't be, I mean, that's the beauty of having a team and different disciplines and different perspectives and diversity, that we can share ideas, and you don't have to be expert at everything. But I think if there is misinformation, or you're concerned about misinformation, to help direct people in the right direction, or educate yourself, just to say, I don't know much about that, I should learn a little more.
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer about this, but it sort of feels a little bit like, playing whack-a-mole with misinformation, because before it was that the MMR vaccine causes autism, and then it was the COVID vaccine is doing something, and now it's Tylenol causes autism. So it feels like a never-ending struggle with misinformation, and it almost is like beyond the individual person. Like, me as an individual professional, I can't change the country's opinion or view of the information that's been shared, but I can do it on an individual level with one person or one professional. But I also think it's important for us as professionals to then advocate for how information is being shared in a way, or like advocating on a national level about regulations that would maybe prevent future misinformation.
Yeah, absolutely, Shannon. And I agree, like, it is challenging at that individual level to change these huge pieces, but we can be part of something that's bigger. So the first statement I put up there was from AUCD. We talked about AUCD. You are all part of AUCD. We're all part of that network. And that network, the beauty of that network is that AUCD, they can do lobbying, advocating in a way that we are more limited, because we're a university and we're federally funded. So we have to kind of play by the rules, but they don't have to. But we can help inform the National Association, and we can partner and work with, and we can do all kinds of things on our own time. So yeah, no, I think it is true, but there are groups out there working, and all these professional organizations are taking leadership. We can be part of that. Any other thoughts? I was so glad you brought it up. It was hard at the end of that, because I just think it's so important. I wanted to say we're going to talk about it next week, but any other things on this? And I think this is going to be our breaking point, my breaking point. Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll come back and talk about strengths. Okay, how 5-ish, 10 minutes? 10 minutes.
The long and the short is that got a lot of work to do.
So small, yeah.
Yeah.
I have people being cool. All the growth are those good.
Yeah, but I feel like people, like Instagram, whatever, other Saw a video on Instagram this morning about how we have like a functional literacy problem, not necessarily literacy, but functional literacy. I feel like this is kind of like a symptom of that.
It's an internet problem. Me and a friend of mine, we've been talking about this for 20 years. The availability of information, particularly via the internet, is like the greatest and worst thing that's ever happened in society. Because it's, you don't have to fact check in, but I can just read anything I want online, will do.
And then the algorithm like echoes. Yeah. One of my like favorite old pet peeves now is when people are like, well, I did my research.
Yeah, did you?
You read a couple like BuzzFeed.
Your Facebook feed?
Yeah, the concept of like predatory journalists is like not well known, and it's like there are journalists out there that like, yeah, you can pay to get like, so it's in a journal, but it's not in like our
Journalism is in itself, I think, has been corrupted on the repair right now. It's gonna take a whole sea change to bring actual journalism. Because they just, they're all in someone's pocket at this point. And I could start a blog and be a journalist, because that's who's going to these press conferences. It's just, yeah, I don't know how you combat that. It's, misinformation is my whole theory, all of that's been. Trump administration is just straight up lying to cause chaos. I read it, obviously, I mean, it's, if you keep people confused and against each other, they can do whatever they want. That's just like, that's the playbook for governments since the beginning of time. Roman Empire did it. I love history. I read a lot of ancient history. Just world history, and one way she gets some. And I'm like, it's nothing new. When Nixon was president, this whole cycle was going on. And then in the 80s, the Reagan administration was the exact same. If you look back at the 80s, the reason hardcore punk rock came on, there's a reason all these movements erupted, because that administration was doing a very similar thing that's going on now, pitting people against each other, supporting certain groups. You know, it just seems familiar. It just seems, actually, it seems more malicious now for some reason, but it's familiar. We'll get through it. I actually have. Most people I know don't anymore. I'm like, oh, no, you can't abandon homes. That's very important to have that. Yeah, I always turn to artists and writers in these type of times.
or even things like this, I feel like, I don't know, just being in a room and having discussions
Yeah.
with people where it's like, we all just like care about human beings.
Exactly.
It's very nice.
Yeah,
For sure.
I get this time with a friend who's always been since was at this very almost right concern with the cat. The rest of us weren't. He was kind of an oddball, but we have great discussions with her. And we don't agree on it. But we can talk, and we still do. I respect him, and he's coming around a bit. He started to disagree with a lot of it. I'm like, oh, it must be been. Because you've been drinking the Kool-Aid since I was a kid. He's like, yeah, he goes, this is not what it's supposed to be. Like, no kidding. But those kind of conversations I just don't see them happening. You know, it'd be great if we could facilitate these types of conversations, you know. People you disagree with, people that have different views. It's just so people don't even want to engage in that because they're on the line. And you can't have a conversation anymore. People resort to just be. I don't know. That's fun.
Fun times.
That's all you can do. Gosh. A good discussion today.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about these grant finders. This is a really,
Oh, y'all are,
well, don't say. Yeah,
there was no woo this year. Very disappointing.
you are a unique group.
She'll tell.
I'm
So there's woo.
No, don't.
Oh, you're gonna- You explain it. Sorry, I don't want to steal your thunder. I like woo. I wish I had woo.
I did it like 5 years ago. I had.
You
woo.
did?
You did? You had woo 5 years?
I
Your
don't
woo went away.
know. My woo
You're
went
the-
away.
I know.
Well, you get older, the woo just goes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Of course.
Yeah, we only,
Well, one,
Marcia did. too.
Marcia did.
Yeah, actually, she never got back to me. I'm gonna reach back out to her. I met with her last week.
Oh,
I'm meant to. I checked her out, just said, oh, she got,
thank you.
she doesn't even remember.
No, I know,
She's got
I
a
know,
law degree, a medical degree. She's
I know.
been.
She's amazing.
Be mentoring
Yeah.
me.
And I saw Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Jones.
I was on there.
Paper data.
So.
That was.
Yeah, Roger.
These.
Roger.
Yeah.
Oh, legislators.
I recommend.
Hey.
Oh, check them out. Yeah, it's so weird. And like,
Awesome.
whenever, it's like work supplies. I'll just like-
Did these have the books?
Yeah, everyone uses
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
I use, like, a
Oh,
lot, like, it's like a
the-
voucher,
the-
where we're going ever, and it's
Yeah.
like a nice pen, they just,
Yeah,
you know,
that's-
it's like.
We didn't have any.
Yeah.
It's a
I
new
think I
shirt.
have-
Yeah. They.
So I'll offer.
Okay.
Like I've never finished so many.
Let's see.
things. I lose mine before that happens, so.
Yeah, I never did.
Yeah,
I feel
no,
relative. She
and-
was
Yeah.
visiting
That's
us.
actually, yeah.
I hope her mother's doing better. She's not on today.
I don't know where they
I
go.
think she flew home.
And like always, it's miraculous, sometimes when it ends up back in my pocket the other day. Yeah. Like this Friday, I was thinking.
Okay, should we, keep going?
Okay, you know, it's beautiful.
I don't think, know if that was 10 minutes or not, but since you're all in the room, we'll keep going.
You're welcome.
And hello, Peru folks. Hi, Roger. And, how is it?
Bexley,
Yeah.
Marina.
Okay, great. Great to have you all. Okay, so we're gonna talk about our strengths. I'm really excited about our strengths. So just so you know, I give this background on the strengths because, it hasn't happened in a while, but there have been a couple folks along the way who've like pushed back and felt like that the strengths finder is a little bit too woo-woo, not science-based. And there is over 40 years of study on the strengths that was done by Gallup. And if you know Gallup polls, have you heard of Gallup polls? So Gallup is a sort of more of an industry kind of based group. And what they found from this 40 years of study, they were able to identify the 34 most common talents or strengths to create, so there'd be a language that we could speak, sort of knowing what we were talking about. So it's not like there are only 34 strengths out there or talents, but those were the most common ones. And I'm going to explain to you that the Strengths Finder actually measures your talents and not your strengths, and I'll explain what that is.
Second.
There we go. So your talents are just a natural way of thinking, how you feel, how you behave. It's kind of like how you're born. You're kind of born with it. If you invest in that talent, you practice it, you learn about it, you get skills in that area, that combination can lead you to have a strength. And a strength is where you can consistently perform at a level of excellence in that area. So a lot of times, I'm not saying it's going to happen 100% of the time, a lot of times I'll be curious to hear from you all, when you read your strengths, a lot of people say like, oh yeah, that Ruben and I was talking to Jane Pilditch and she said, oh yeah, that's me. Yeah, like, so I hope it resonates with you. And if it doesn't, we'll talk about that too. So clear on what the difference is between a talent and a strength. So the Strengths Finder report identifies your top 5 strengths and it orders them. Now, there are, if you pay more money, you can get a list of all 34 of your strengths. So I just want to point out, like, who knows, you're number 6. Like sometimes people say, oh, I wish I'd had this strength. I'm really surprised I don't. It might have been your number 6 or your number 7. So don't despair. But if you had a list of your 34 strengths and listed in order, the chances that any 2 people have that same order of 34 strengths is one in, I can't remember how many zeros that is, but it's one, and I had to look it up. I think it might be 23. I can't, no, it can't be 23. It's something divisible by 3, because, yeah.
36.
It's 36, thank you.
We just counted up to.
Okay, so it's a 259 followed by 36 zeros is 1 in 259 undecillion. So that's a little fun fact for your cocktail party tonight. And then the strengths are categorized here. This is all 34. And you can break them down into leadership domains. So the domains are executing. You can see those strengths that are listed there are fall into the executing domain. There's those that are influencing, those that are relationship building, and those that are strategic thinking. So I'm going to just do, the question to you is, which domain do you think most of your strengths lie as a group? If you had to guess.
Just shout it out.
Shout it out.
Relationship building.
Relationship building? Okay.
Futuristic.
What's that?
Futuristic.
Oh, oh, you're picking the specific one? Yeah, I'm just saying like the category, but yeah, this. So are you thinking that this group is mostly in the strategic thinking? Is that, or,
I could say that.
okay,
I was thinking executing.
executing, okay. You want me to tell you the answer? It's relationship building, and I'll take you through that. Which area do you think this group has the least of? Influencing. Anyone think differently? Okay. Well, I'll tell you. So this group, I think this group is really cool. This is the very first time, this is a list of your strengths, right? And you'll have this. This is a grid. And we had 20 people complete the strength finders and share the top 5 strengths with my one is missing, but you know, that's pretty good. 20 out of 21. Every single one of you had at least one strength in this domain. We have never had that before. It's not shocking. I mean, why is it not shocking? It's surprising that all of you have that. That's wonderful. But why might there be relationship building in a group like this?
A lot of us are in helping professions, so naturally you have to, we don't work in silos. Our work can't be done in silos.
Yeah, so what Charlotte said is we're in helping professions and it's hard to do we work in groups and it's hard to work in silos. Yeah.
I think too, like relating back to like, maybe like a lot of us had like a natural talent where it's like, you know, connecting with people. And then like now that we're all in our professional roles or like on our way to becoming professionals, like we've put in that investment. So it's not that surprising to see so many.
Yeah. I always like to think like you're a bunch of really nice people that are trying to help people. The most common strengths were empathy and developer, and then followed by relators. And 14 of you, 70% of you had your number one strength in this domain. Just out of a show of hands, who had their number one strength in this domain? And then I'm sorry, what's that? No, nothing. The most strengths overall, so there's between the group of 20 with 5 strengths, there's 100 strengths, almost half of them were in this domain. What do you think might come second? So there was, we said influencing was the least. Between executing and strategic thinking, I'll just go back here. You can see what those are. Executing. Well, it's a little bit of a trick question because it was kind of a tie, but slightly. So 17 of you have at least one executing strength. And 3 of you have this as your top strength. And 26 of the 100 strengths fall in this domain. And just out of curiosity, who had a number 1 strength in this? Okay. Then came strategic thinking. Another 17 or 85% of you have at least 1 strength in this domain. 3 of you have it as your top strength, but 24 of the strengths were in this domain. Who had their top strength in this? So 3 of you. And then online, they may be raising their hand or not. And then we have influencing. Only 3 of you had a strength in this area. And no one had their top strength in this area. And why do you think there's not as many strengths in this area? Why might that be?
I mean, I don't really know, but I'm just thinking like, we're not really in it to influence people. We're not in it to like change people or fix people in that kind of way. We're kind of doing what we're doing to learn and unlearn real things and experiences.
Yeah, so maybe it depends on what your job is.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, unfortunately, also within this community, we're sometimes told to like keep quiet because it is a minority of the community in many ways, or at least supposedly by the way that things are. So sometimes influencing can be more difficult. There's also an added funny thing that I just realized that the thing that I sent to Mike was actually one that I did in 2021 in undergrad, and the one that I did a week ago or two is actually completely different. And actually my number 1 is communication now.
Oh, so this is an old one?
Mhm. I just discovered that.
Interesting. And so currently
Yeah,
it's communication.
yeah,
Oh,
the number 1 that I originally sent you guys was strategic, which was within the strategic thinking realm. But my number 1 as of last week is actually communication.
and why might that change over time between being an undergraduate and to where you are today?
I think it's, as we all grow from, being teenagers to young adults to eventually older adults, we grow into our own bodies, right? We grow into our own minds and how we tend to advocate and how we tend to act with people. And I've learned, I used to have a lot of social anxiety with speaking in large groups. I don't know if you guys could tell today, I love yapping. I love talking in large groups now. And so I think that's a large reason now that communication has grown. I've become a lot less shy of a person. I'm a lot more extroverted. So I'm like, I love holding the mic. I love talking. Sorry to all of you for hearing that. But yes, the 2, 4, and 5 are all strategic.
Oh, this is so interesting.
But
Yeah.
I actually unfortunately break your what was the one that you said that everyone had?
Oh, relationship? You
Yeah,
lost it?
I lost relationship.
Oh. Maybe that was your number 6.
That was my original one, that was my number 5, which was empathy, and apparently I guess I don't have empathy anymore.
It's funny because I do want, I was gonna have Ella speak up, but we always joke, there's sometimes we've had someone, and I've been doing this in different professional settings, and there's a strength on here, woo. Now, in our jobs, a lot of us don't need woo, but sometimes you need woo, like if you're talking about systems change or policy, and we always joked that we had woo envy. But Ella, you were saying, so let you speak. You had woo, right?
I did have woo.
Yeah, so what happened to your woo?
That's my woo. Apparently, 5 years ago I took this and I had woo then. It's gone now.
Maybe you just don't need it right now.
Maybe it's just sleeping.
It's, yeah, permanent.
Yeah.
Oh no, I know you were asking about what happened with like, what do you think happened with the influence thing?
Yeah, yeah.
I think even for myself, when I was younger, I was more like, like people used to be like sister soldier or say stuff like that because I was so passionate about it. But I think by doing the work, it kind of calmed me down, and then I started focusing on other things because I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to know more before I speak, because I like to be accurate and I like to give out good information or true information to people, so it kind of inhibits me in the other area.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that, Tasha. I think it depends on your role too, like as a student. Like sometimes there's a power dynamic and you're not necessarily the lead or the one, you're taking more more information in than sort of influencing others. Not to say you can't do that. So maybe you were not a student 5 years ago. I don't know. And did you want to add something, Charlotte? Oh, wait, for the mic. Yeah.
To go off with Tasha's point, I definitely saw like when I was younger, before I understood with like autistic and ADHD traits, where I was like that girl arguing with people in the class, like, you're not about to embarrass me. I'm gonna come and correct somebody. Now as an adult, I mean, I still maintain that level of intensity for some things, but I don't always like, I know when to like, this person is not, I know when not to be unrelenting, because I know some people's minds, you just aren't going to change.
So what we're gonna do next, and I think we'll keep the same groups. I might just have someone from the middle table, since there's 6 of you, come to one of these tables, so it'll be 5, 5, and 4. So whatever, if one person doesn't mind coming to one of these 2 tables here, and we're gonna have you at your tables, read aloud. I hope you brought your report or have it on your computer, because it is different than what's in the book, and pick out a strength. It can be any one, it can be your top strength. And read the part of what makes you stand out. And then if anyone has the same strength and wants to share that one out too in the group, that would be great. And how are your strengths similar or different? Are your strengths clustering in a particular area, in one of those executing, relationship building? I know there were a few of you who had all of your, I think Maureen, you're one, and Allie was another. But I think all your top 5 strengths were in relationship building. I'm not sure. Check that. I may not have that right. Any area you think you would need to develop? Why might this be important information to know? And why would it be important to know across your teams? And how can you use this information in your personal and professional life? Now, you may not get through all these, but do just take turns reading that. Talk amongst yourselves, and then we'll just do a quick report out. Any questions on that? And thanks for switching tables.
Who wants to start with theirs? What are we reading about?
Oh, there's a part in the, let me just say that. If there is any question, there should be a part in your report that says what makes you stand out with your strengths.
Like, it's unique, what makes you unique or something.
It's what makes you unique. Yeah, maybe it's changed slightly since I did it.
Like why you're.
We have the same top 3 now.
Okay.
Because I was like, whoa.
I have,
Oh, you have the same top 2.
yeah, I have, all of mine are hanging out in the same thing. I mean, like.
Yeah.
Read our top one you want to share.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm Anna. I'm a 4th year med student. And Wayne, yeah. Yeah. Feels weird to be up here. I've always been at that table. So I'm like, I need the bag.
If we ever move from this table, we won't even know what to do.
It'll be shocking.
Okay, anyone want to start?
Does not.
I don't know where this.
So.
So it's
Yeah.
Everyone can go with this.
your developers.
Or whichever one you want to share.
All right, I'll tell you.
Fine, you guys are dying to know.
Why your developer is unique. It's very likely that you occasionally impart confidence to certain people by reinforcing the high regard you have for them as individuals. Driven by your talents, you may put aside your own interests or it's funny because that one right there, that first one, I'm like, I'm that person, like there's a meme and I'm like, I want to print it out. Like, don't hang out with me because I'm going to convince you that you can do you can do the thing. Because that's who I am. And my kids laugh at me, but our entire house is like signs and it's like, wake up, be awesome, kick ass, repeat. And like, the world is a better place because they're like, Mom, you're so embarrassing. I'm like, yeah, but look at you guys being awesome. Instinctively or driven by your talents, you may put aside your own interests or inconvenience yourself to serve others.
You burn out.
I'm really good at not burning out, but I also recognize the very quick ability to do so. So I have in my training, I have no problem going to husband and my kids, my coworkers, and I'm like, hey, like this is what I need. I'm an advocate for myself. I have to do that a lot.
This is good. A good talent mixed in with this. 'Cause
Yeah, yeah. So again, that's training because I am that person. Like, wait, you need to volunteer for the bake sale. You need to volunteer for this. You need me to do. Yeah. It's cool. But the older I get, the more I recognize that's my strength, but it's also my not so superpower. Instinctively, you frequently express your appreciation of possibility thinkers. Why? They create verbal pictures of the future that allow you to envision what is possible. Chances are good that you may delight in compliment. It's funny, I didn't read this until now. Chances are good that you may delight in complimenting individuals and or praising groups. Perhaps you consider ways you might better acknowledge the contributions, talents, expertise, skills, or successes of others. Because of your strengths, you may embolden some people so they begin. This is weird.
So like touching, like parts of you, you're like,
Because of your strengths, you may embolden some people so they begin believing in themselves. Perhaps you help them realize certain things that they can accomplish in the future. Sometimes you remind them about certain things they already do well. Like, I feel like I should put this on my resume.
next time you have to like write about yourself, like this is it.
For sure. Because it's 100%. Because when I lead a team, I regularly text my group of workers. I manage a farmer's market in my spare time. And I regularly it's like, you did a great job today. Like, I know it was hard. I know the vendors were tough to deal with, but I really appreciate your contributions and thank you for being with them. And like, that's just who I am. People like to, I like to people to tell me I'm doing a good job. So I like to tell people all the time, you're doing a good job.
And it's fun to see people like light up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I see you walking down the street towards me, I'm probably gonna compliment something about you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
I have the same one, but like my things are different than yours because I was wondering. So they must like update it based on like what other ones you have.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I also am a developer empathy at the top too, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Mine says, by nature, you routinely boost the self-confidence of others by acknowledging their successes and contributions. You have an ability to make people feel truly valued. Chances are good that you, I guess maybe they're somewhat similar. Regularly look for opportunities to give people special attention. You celebrate their accomplishments. You tell them why you appreciate their knowledge, skills, and talents. You acknowledge their opinions and solicit their suggestions. Instinctively, you tune into others' emotions. Moment by moment, you detect changes in their enthusiasm, happiness, hope, despair, sadness, or apathy. You take this information into account when you extend a helping hand to someone. Your approach and words likely vary from person to person. In fact, you probably deal with the same individual differently as circumstances change. Driven by your talents, you characteristically are an unselfish person. This feels so awkward to read in front of people I barely know. It's just like, oh my gosh. You have an easy time welcoming many different kinds of individuals into your circle. Besides expressing your approval of others, you usually discover a reason to acknowledge or compliment them one by one. You probably notice contributions, successes, or signs of progress that many overlook. You applaud personal and professional growth. Simply put, you are not stingy when it comes to acknowledging what people do well. Yeah, and this one was a surprise. I wouldn't have, like, if you gave me the book, I probably wouldn't have naturally thought about being a developer of other people, but I'm not in a teaching role in any capacity, and that's kind of like what I would imagine, like, the ideal kind of like hand-in-hand profession is, so.
Yeah, and I like was a teacher and now turned therapist, so it's like, oh, yeah, I get it.
Professional
Is it
cheerleader.
weird that you answered all these ridiculous questions that you were like, oh my gosh?
Some really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some are
and then
really
it comes
hard.
up with this and you're like, huh, weird.
How did you live that based on the scale? Yeah.
Get out of my head.
Yeah.
Both sound like really nice.
Yeah.
You might want to hang out with us. Cause we'll make you believe how awesome we are.
There's all the time.
Yeah, if you need a boost, you know, well, yeah. Alright. You wanna go?
I can go. I'm so
It's-
sorry.
it's
They're
real
kind of-
awkward.
They're kind of long.
No, they're very
I feel
long.
like this sounds very like self-centered.
No, it's very uncomfortable. I didn't like it. Yeah. Okay,
So
you are.
I have empathy. Chances are good that you intentionally play some games simply to enjoy them. You naturally gravitate to people who share this trait. You instinctively notice who is having fun and who is not. These insights often affect how you interact with various people. Because of your strengths, you realize numerous individuals need your attention to feel valued or appreciated. Making someone feel special gives you a great deal of satisfaction. You can sense when someone's spirit needs to be lifted or his or her contributions can be acknowledged. You know what to say and how to say it so that your compliment or words of recognition sound truthful, genuine, and sincere. Is one way you nurture relationships. By nature, you want to be befriended by everyone you meet. Intuition helps you distinguish between those who do and do not enjoy your company. Typically, you figure out who is simply going through the motions of being nice. You can also determine who holds you in high regard. You can probably avoid people who hurt your feelings. You choose to spend more time with those who genuinely like you. I do want to be liked. I don't necessarily need to be befriended, but I feel like overall, all of these, I feel like I have a really good intuition about people and like their feelings, and so it's just like fun that, you know.
You're like, I'm just gonna go over here.
Yeah, like that person's not having a great time. Let's try and like bring them in, you know. So, last couple is instinctively you sense when someone needs your assistance without the person has to tell you, and it's very likely that you may be able to brighten a person's day by accurately describing an emotion or your feeling. Might be sadness or happiness, disappointment or elation, despair, hope, love, joy, anger. Perhaps your awareness of certain individuals who helps them turn around their negative thinking. Some of your best days might come when you take at least one round of the trial.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I care a lot about other people's happiness, and like, I think to some extent that's a weakness because I maybe put so much into that other person than in myself. Because I care about how they feel, but I think overall it's a good thing.
It's funny, it was a different trait, but it was similar when you broke it down like that. Maybe it's just because like everybody here is like relationship heavy.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah.
Wait, on your, yeah, but all of you guys said relationship building is your number one strength? Yeah, okay, wait for me to be terrible. It was not right.
Oh my god.
It was my second, but not right.
None of them, I went through the book, none of them seem like bad things. I mean, like they just seem like, yeah. You're not gonna be a bad person.
But it's, yeah, it is interesting to see that.
Yeah, definitely is. And you're so relationship.
Sure, I am
Yeah.
the relationship builder.
Yeah.
Wait, can I ask you, do you also have includer in one of your like top 5?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say a lot of hers seem like, you know, like trying to include others and being aware.
I
Yeah.
have a later.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
What was this one?
Empathy.
Okay, we're ready.
Mine is includer.
Okay.
But my empathy is number 2, so we
Okay.
guess we're pretty similar to what yours is. Let's see. Driven by our talents, you live peacefully with many types of people. You seek opportunities to cooperate with outsiders. You welcome newcomers into your life. You help them fit into the group. Usually, they permit you to draw them into casual chit chat or serious discussions. Talking with strangers probably energizes you. Chances are good that you wonder why some people are separated from certain groups and you look at safe ways to invite them to join. Instinctively, you may recognize your ability to involve different sorts of individuals in your life. Some people might recall that you were the first person to welcome them with open arms, an open heart, or an open mind. By nature, you often find yourself bringing people into your circle of acquaintances, friends, or family. Your ability to help individuals feel worthy of your time and attention permits them to fit into groups. It's very likely that you want everyone to feel part of a group in its activities. You do and say things to spare people the misery of rejection and loneliness. Once someone joins your circle, you identify the talents that makes that person so very special. Do you really that makes you? So, yeah, that's like, I feel like that's been something I don't know. I feel like I wasn't ever very much of a leader growing up because I was very shy. I didn't talk very often. So I was more of the outsider, but now that I'm an adult, I find myself more in that role where, you know, now I have the confidence to be a leader. Where I don't think that I was necessarily included before because I got myself outside by being shy.
You know, you make effort.
A newer thing, yeah.
I feel like the last session that we had here at the table, I think you were one of the first people to talk and kind of try and get everyone involved in the conversation. So I feel like that's accurate.
Yes, it got very welcoming when I sat down, so yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Mine was restorative, and it says chances are you're good at, chances are good that you are keenly aware of many factors that contribute to an environment or enough. You keenly consider productivity, profit, academic grades, retention, financial investments, or support activities. As you examine the data and facts, you probably identify areas in need of redesign, upgrades, improvements, or renovation. It's vastly different than crisis. It's very likely that you are inclined to concentrate on things you want to change about yourself, someone else, an object, or a situation. You probably feel more optimistic when you consider your fears, flaws, or failures. Because of your strengths, you search for answers, problems, or find, and some of your best days are when you have the opportunity to examine obstacles and those blocks that nature throws in. Instinctively, you're someone particularly aware of what you could or should do better. Perhaps you invest a lot of time, effort, and energy in overcoming your limitations. Maybe you have decided to let your natural abilities or talents grow on their own while you tend to the problem area. Driven by your feelings, you quickly point out your problems or obstacles before others decide them. You probably have been labeled as a pessimist. You probably reply, I'm just being realistic. I choose to fix things before they wear out, break down, or become obsolete. Okay, but I actually do feel that fits me, but I think that speaks to my professional life. I work in like behavior analysis.
Yeah, you're constantly assessing the situation.
And like looking for environmental variables.
Yeah.
So
Well, even like you like brought up like the Medicaid stuff today that like, you know, like that was, I feel like that really fits with,
But yeah, so no, I actually feel that fits me. And maybe I am a bit of, I'm like a hopeful pessimist.
I feel like those are the type of people that help the world go round. It's like, you know, they get things done.
People look at all of this positive.
and then maybe like an informed optimist. You're not naive about it. Like, you're hopeful.
Second, like, is there redemption?
Which that's obviously what she meant. Yeah.
It's like, it's really.
See, okay, and that's when the relationship.
And then we're analytical. So yeah, common theme.
No, but that's like so important for ABA. Like that's the mindset you need to be in. Yeah. That's fair.
You guys read the like how it blends with the other top 5 strengths. I find that really interesting.
Me too.
It's slightly different.
Yeah.
Sorry, interesting.
Yeah, I did look at it, but then I thought the book was the same, and I was like, well, I want to hold the book, but no, it's not the same. Definitely a little bit more.
And I'm like all 1995 over here with my printout.
I mean, I don't have a printer.
And that is the count.
Yeah. They were like, oh, like have this.
Late last night.
It secretly makes me happy though, because it's not always me who's unprepared. Like
you look forward in a printout. You're like so prepared. You're like, it's a cute clipboard too. It's not like, you know what I mean?
I have one of these for work. I asked for it for Christmas. I was like, I think I'm gonna need a clipboard to be a therapist. My husband's like, I got you.
And it needs to be cute.
It's got succulents on it.
No, it's really cute. Yeah, that's
A lot of
funny.
us use those in clinic too, and it's really nice.
Yeah, because then there's like a pocket and there's a little thing.
Oh, yeah, one now.
Yeah, this one was from Target.
Okay, so we'll just.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can give it to them to, or like patients fill out.
Yeah.
Let me just say.
the other one was from
Hello?
Amazon.
I used to want that
Another.
like in source because that's how like I just constantly chuck stuff in.
We haven't even drank any. Wow.
Would you like me to put some ice in it?
Do you guys want some ice in it? I think it's.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
Okay.
well,
What are
let me
you
just,
like category breakdowns?
What part?
you are all
I am all blue.
blue.
No, I was,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember seeing that when you shared.
Yeah.
Three relationships, one executing, one strategic. Similar, I'm two relationship, two executing, one strategic.
Hold please.
Is it the same? I'm two relationship, two strategic, one expert. Is that same?
Two relationship. One executing, two executing, one strategic.
Okay.
I'm a learner. It's like, well, yeah, I've been in school for how many years? Like, that's not checks out. Like, can we stop with the one? Yes.
Did you kind of find it funny that we're all in like a leadership thing and none of us really have like influence? Like,
Yeah, well, I read the woo, so I was like, what is woo? It's kind of like being charming, right? Like, it's kind of like woo. Yeah, like, yeah. Wish I could woo. Yeah.
I woo with my like positivity. That's what my thing comes from. I like this one, positivity and includer. You love to throw parties, and the best parties are those we're all invited to attend. When someone is missing, you miss some fun. I love
That's
this.
awesome. Yeah.
All the themed parties, let's do this.
Yeah.
what areas do you guys think would like to develop?
I don't have anything past that. Probably one of the other, any of the other ones. Pick
I
one.
think like the self-assurance from influencing, I liked that one. I think I think if we expanded it to the top 10, it might be in there. But just being really confident in your decision, sometimes like, especially at school, is like all new to me. Even every step of the way has been new. And it's just like really hard to be confident when you don't know. But like in my personal life, I'm like, yes, this is what we're doing. But like in my professional life, it's just, you need a lot of guidance. I feel like a little baby half the time. And I'm like,
I feel sometimes I'm a hard decision maker, like even like, what do you want to do? I don't know. I don't know. And sometimes like.
I don't know what you want, great.
Right? And here's some confetti for you. Yeah, sometimes like making, especially big decisions, I tend to like, not gonna make that today, gonna put it off. So yeah, maybe that's why I need some help. But I'm gonna do it at a party.
Yeah. That's funny.
And probably the executive part, right?
Yeah.
I might pay for
had-
my extras.
I was
Just to
thinking
see.
about it. I'm like so nosy. I want to
I
know,
wonder how
but
much it is. Like, is it like $50 or is it like $20 or is it $100?
I think it might be 50. But I don't know.
Might be worth it.
We'll see.
I need more stuff to put on my resume.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, it's right there. You've already taken the test. Yeah.
Done.
No, I kind of think this influence of the help you take charge, speak up, and make sure others are heard. So kind of like you were saying, it's hard to like kind of have that confidence and be, you know, not afraid of what other people might think and say what you want to say.
Yeah.
The people pleasing to that too. Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure. I've gotten better at it. Cause like before with like people you work with, I'm like, oh, I'm just not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna let it slide. It's fine. Like I'm non-confrontational, right? I don't want to have a confrontation with you. And even with vendors who try and overstep boundaries, I'm like, oh, but now I've gotten to the point this season, I was like, oh, no. That's not how we're doing this. You know, so I'm working on it.
And I feel like it's getting better. But before I was just like, I don't want to fight about it. I don't want to argue about it. I'm just gonna let you do what you're doing. You're not hurting me. But, setting boundaries has gotten much, much better.
Like you don't wanna be that person that creates a rift or, you know.
Yes,
Yeah, back to mine, like you don't wanna be I don't wanna be disliked, so.
Right.
And it's like. Job, you gotta set boundaries.
100%.
I feel like my like greatest strengths or my greatest weaknesses I've realized professionally, it's like being like a student professional, yeah, I get evaluated pretty regularly. And my things are like, you talk with them for too long.
Yeah, that's a feedback I get a lot.
Talk less.
Yes. I get that because, some of the other clinicians at work, they're like, oh no, I can do an assessment in like 5 minutes. I'm in and out, like just to get it done and move on. And I'm like, I guess it's two different ways of thinking about it, because I want to know my patient. So if it takes me 30 minutes to do an assessment, I'm gonna do an assessment in 30 minutes. It might even take 40. Oh, I don't do, I'm just.
Does everyone have a chance to
So all the billing
read their alert?
So I,
Everyone get a turn? Okay.
like, I think it's just part of their hospital stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everything that I need to submit entrance to authorization has to be done for that said amount of time.
And of course, it's not enough time.
And it's fine when they're already in clinic, because then you can extend it in like, there's like. But for the
Yeah.
initial, the one that I already is like the most important.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's fine. You can just like, go for it, but it's like, great, because then a lot of places are getting like tracking your activity. And so it's like, you're gonna be shot and like, I do here, but.
And like, I think that's that whole, like, money thing, right? Like, it's not so much always patient care. And I know clinicians
2 more minutes.
at my site that they're just like, get them in and out, like, get them in. And I'm like, but I'm gonna take a little bit of time to even just go check in. Right? Because the biggest complaint that we get is like, nobody's talking to me. So there are like, you do their master treatment plan with the physician, and then it's like, nobody talks to their patients. And I'm like, but wait a minute, I just walk around like, how are you doing today? Like, because it's patient care.
Yeah, that's why you're here in the first place, is a
Right?
patient, you know?
It's not like, hurry up and get them out of here and get them done. And I understand they have a 7 to 14 estimated length to stay, but they're still here for 7 to 14 days. So like, build a little rapport. They're kids. We've got little ones, like 7-year-olds.
Where do you work?
Havenwick.
Okay, so it's like.
It's inpatient, it's a psychiatric hospital.
Okay, okay,
So, yeah.
they're staying there for
They're
7 to 14 days. Okay.
And it's basically like just managing in crisis. And so they get their medication stabilized and then they move out because it's an acute care facility. So we don't have a long
ability
time.
I'm so delighted
Yeah,
that you're
parents
having
like us.
such engaging conversations. So I'd love to hear from you all about just any aha moments. Does this resonate with you? Not resonate with you? We'll just kind of open it and we can talk about some of these. So who would like to share? Yes.
I'll do it. Cause it's.
You'll be brave.
I'll be being brave. So mine is all in the relationship building. And I won't lie, I didn't really read through a whole lot of this until just now. And it's kind of weird because everything, it's like, we all kind of said, like, how does it know this? Like, how did you ask me those questions and you know me better than like most people do, right? So mine were all like 100% spot on, and it was not shocking to me at all. So.
Anyone else have that experience?
I don't really have anything to say, I was just like agreeing, like.
Oh. I'll move, I'm making a movement.
It's actually gonna say in some ways, somewhat, the opposite of that. I honestly kind of lost my train of thought after thinking that. What were we originally?
Oh, like, did it resonate with you? Cause, Lorraine was saying all yours, like, it was like, how did it know that?
Oh,
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about this of like, while we were filling out the survey, you kind of had to play this game in your mind of like, am I filling out what I want myself to be, or am I filling out who I am?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be really.
So, like, communication, futuristic, I 100% agree. We get to discipline is my third one, and I'm like, I do love my schedules, but at the same time, I also love filling my schedule to the max and having everything in chaos. So, and I think part of me wants my life to have discipline, but prefers.
That's so interesting, and I'm curious, your blurb, what you used to say, what makes you stand out, maybe it's what makes you unique, whatever that blurb was, did it give any nuance to that would allow for that, or did it not feel like you?
I honestly didn't read through discipline specifically, so I'll
Maybe
get back to you in like 5 minutes.
Anyone else? Anyone feel like that's, like, how did we get it so wrong? Anybody have that? Anyone surprised that what they had or didn't have on theirs, or the way they felt?
Guys are together now. So I'd never really considered myself like a developer. Like if I had the book and I went through it and I read it, I'd be like, oh, that's really cool. I wish I could be that person, but it ended up being my number one. And so reading through why it's unique to me, because me and Lorraine had both developer as number one, but our uniqueness was different. I think there were like nuances there that were different to us, but still felt like us. So yeah, it's just something I didn't see myself as, but like reading through it, it does feel like, oh, I do those things, but it's just something I didn't think about beforehand.
And with that new knowledge, like, oh, I am that way, anything you can do with that? Is it like?
Yeah, so right now I'm in clinical rotations and I like do end up having more time than the physician to like talk to people, and I can see myself like my perspective on like the patient care interaction is different than some of my preceptors. And so yeah, I'm already thinking about like ways in which I can like get patients to kind of like discover their own goals and help them reach their own health goals too. So it's interesting. Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
One thing I was surprised about was that I got achiever so low because so many people think I'm always going after like the next certification or the next award or the next this or the next that. I was surprised that I got relator as first, but when I think about like in the terms of which I do my advocacy and a lot of my work, I tend to collaborate with a lot of the same organizations and same people because of the niche that I work in with Black women and girls, and there aren't a ton of organizations doing that work, so I'll go to the same conference and speak like 4 times in a row or 4 years in a row. Or I'll be on the same person's podcast, or the same advocate I might speak at a conference might be on the same podcast as me. So I think it shows me that like achieving is cool, but it just means more to me when I get to do it with people who are truly aligned with the work I want to do. So it's not just achievement for achievement's sake, but there's like a little bit of like altruism in it.
Yeah, and did you have other strengths in that domain for achieve, in that, I think is that the executing?
That was my only one.
Which was?
Achiever, and that was number 5.
And number 5, gotcha, so you had it, it just was lower than you expected, gotcha. And I wanna, oh yeah, go ahead, Sam.
This is your post 5-minute update. I will take back what I said. Don't assume what a word means. It's actually pretty correct.
Yeah.
I took discipline with more so of a daily structure, and it does say like in the summary paragraph above of like what is discipline. I don't agree with that, but when I read the actual like 5 paragraphs of like, why is your discipline unique? It's a pretty spot on.
Yeah, it's so interesting, yeah. And so, how many, well, I know there's only a couple of you because you all had a strength in relationship building, although Zach, it might have changed for you, that had all your strengths in one domain. Was it you, Ellie, that had, no, you didn't have, who, did anyone else?
I think Jillian.
Jillian did. I thought there was 3 of you. I wrote down Allie, but maybe I just looked at it too quickly. So, did your strengths cluster? How many of you had a strength in every domain? At least one in every domain? Okay. Oh, 2. Okay. And I know I noticed a lot of clustering in the relationship building.
So I'm gonna read what's on the screen. Marina said that she
thanks.
believes that being positive helps her carry out her goals with strategy, and that is something really appreciated. So it's interesting because it's how different strengths relate to each other, perhaps.
You know, and thanks for bringing that up, Marina. When I did the strength finders the first time, it was a long time ago, maybe like 16 years ago, something like that. And my top strength was positivity. And was that your, if you can just like raise your hand or like thumbs up, Marina, was that your top strength?
You go ahead and unmute.
Yes.
Yes, it is my first strength, positive.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I don't know about you, but when I saw it, I thought, how is that? Like, I didn't even envision it as a strength. But that really like shifted my thinking to think, oh yeah, I like, it's kind of who I am. And it's no wonder now I use strengths finders everywhere I go because I want to know other people's strengths. But one of the funny things, and I don't know if this was in yours, Maria, but mine talked about being competitive. And I thought, yeah, did yours talk? I thought, oh my gosh, like how can that be positive if I'm competitive? But it wasn't like a competitive, it was like a fun, spirited competitive and encouraging competitive, but like I like to go for big things as a group but not like dominating everybody.
She's lying because if you play Jadal.
Whoa. Yes, I have talked.
Gets angry when you win.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, no, the competitive, like, I know I'm like I'm a sleeper competitive person. Like, you know, I'm not like, if we're playing a card game, I'm not gonna be the one that's like making all the noise, but just like, yeah, you know, like winning on the inside, or even they said like being competitive and making deadlines, like that is like a thing that I loved, you know, it's just finding little things to be competitive about.
Were you competitive? How did you do in the Barnga game? Were you like annoyed or happy or?
I was like looking at everybody like, what is happening? Like, did y'all realize something is happening? I don't know. Like, I'm just like, come on, y'all, we got, I don't know, like this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think I like to think of it as like I'm playful. Like I love games and puzzles and things like that. And I do like to win, but you have to. What might be, and Marina, was there anything about being competitive in your experience? For being positive, anything competitive? Maybe she didn't hear. Marina, was there anything about being competitive in your strengths?
I don't have competitive, I have strategic, achiever. Yeah, but I believe that being positive, it helps me a lot because I feel I'm training. So when I will be finishing with all my strategic plan, I will be more competitive. Maybe that's why it is not in the list.
Yeah, thanks. And so going back to these questions, any areas, this is 2 things that I would kind of think about. Might there be any aspect of your strengths that could be considered a weakness? And is there anything like based on what you read in your report that you'd like to develop or work on?
We were all relating at our table, because all of us were very relationship heavy. But within kind of the confines of working in healthcare, speed is an element. You only have so long with each patient. We're all kind of relating where, we connect well with them, but then, we chat too much. And it slows down everything. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse there, within the confines of speed.
Yeah. So if you're working on and you value that relationship, you may run out of time or go over time. Yeah, good point.
So me and Tasia were talking about this, about being futuristic, and it's nice to like think and plan about the future, but it can also become, at least for me, a source of anxiety trying to control the outcome or having a need to know how the future will turn out. So it's great to be able to plan ahead, but it can quickly become like detrimental if you can't like see if you miss the forest for the trees or however they say it. You get so caught up in like trying to get there, you don't realize the small progress you're making day by day.
And then just another question of across our team, we have the different, domains. We have coverage in each of the domains. Why does it matter on a team? Like, and do you have to have every domain? Do you have to, you can't, it's hard to have a strength in everything. It's just not possible. Why does it matter on a team? Does it matter on a team?
I think it matters on a team. When you're on a team, you want to be able to delegate something so that the skills are not tipping more to one person. And if everybody has a unique skill to contribute, then you can rely on each person's skill and everybody has a function and everybody, can contribute in a meaningful way.
Exactly. And even if you have the same identical strength as a top strength, that what you bring to it is unique. So it's not like duplicating effort or, oh, well, we have two of us, we shouldn't, it's too many. It brings a different perspective. And I think it kind of gets the spirit of, a diverse group. And this group is diverse in many ways, in your strengths and your disciplines, your backgrounds, where you're from, all those kinds of things that you bring, your lived experience. And then the last question, and then before we go on to the last thing that we'll do today, is how can you use this information in your personal or professional life and professional life?
I know when we were discussing, an area that I personally want to work on is executing, because in some things it requires you to be a person that gives directives to people and that communication, even when you're working with families. Sometimes people just need, like, knowing when somebody just needs you to give them the directives and they can't pull it out for themselves, and you're being that person in that leadership role and you are giving the directives when people are turning to you.
And I was gonna say, I'm on the verge of job hunting for the first time, and so I think this will be an awesome opportunity to highlight in interviews or in my resume, because it's hard to brag about yourself. But putting a spin on it of like, these are my areas and what I can bring to the table, but also maybe harmonize with other people too.
Yeah, and I can tell you as someone who, anytime I've interviewed someone, I always ask their strengths every single time. And how many people have been in an interview and you're asked your strengths? Yeah. And you can also use it because sometimes it'll ask like, what's an area, an opportunity for you to grow? It might not be stated what's your weakness, but what are areas you can grow? And it's like people say, oh, I care too much. There's sort of the cliche ones, but you can frame it. And you can frame it by saying, like, I noticed that I want to grow and develop in the area of executing because I know that's really important. And I have strengths in these areas.
And Maria's comment.
Oh, yes, Maria.
As well. Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to develop ideation as a strength because it allows me to generate creative ideas, explore different perspectives, and find innovative ways to solve problems and achieve my goals. Exactly. So that might be something. And the beauty of having a team is that you can you can work with someone who's really good at that. Like if you know someone that's their strength, you can kind of observe them, model after them, and grow it with sort of a informal mentor in that role model. Other thoughts on strengths? Well, we can talk more about them. I just want to be mindful of the time. And thank you. Any other things, aha moments or anything on the strengths? Okay.
I wish to share.
Oh,
Go ahead.
oh, yes.
In my personal life, I believe that I can use positivity to maintain my resilience and spread optimism because this helping me to face the challenge with hope that everything going to be well. It helps me to be motivated, keeping me growing, um, inspire me to exploring new knowledge and enjoying this process of learning for itself. And also, as a result, I will have more ideation to bring more creativity into my life because at the end of this training, I want to be able to create something for my to improve my knowledge and to help others in my community also.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that idea, what I'm hearing, and just chime in if I got it wrong, but that in a way, your positivity energizes you. It keeps you going. And I think in that same spirit, I don't know if you were on at the very beginning this morning, Marina, when we were talking about smiling, and smiling is contagious. And it's that same idea, like it's the vibe you put out there, that energy you put out there, that can be contagious and it can create a certain energy. So thank you for sharing, and I agree with you completely. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick poll here. And Mike's gonna put up on the screen how to do it. And he's gonna try to. And just so you know, the poll question is, do you consider yourself more of an introvert or an extrovert? I think we talked about introverts and extroverts last time. Anybody?
See,
I know.
we're all very well trained at this point.
You can send Mike Ray 550. Oh, you
Get this out of the way.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's where
Responded right away. They're fast.
that is funny, actually. I never thought about it.
Okay. Everybody have a chance to do it? Oh. Okay. So it's a bit of a split, about half and half, a little more extra. Oh, Marina's an extrovert. Okay, thanks. So I think the extroverts have it by just a little bit, by a hair. Okay. And you can shove it, yeah. Oh, no, introverts got it. Except maybe with Marina, it's close. It's close.
It's 50-50.
About 50, oh, no, it's literally 50-50. Okay. So, yeah, we're gonna talk more about that. Oh, is it going down?
Oh.
The stragglers are coming in, are introverted stragglers. Okay.
No.
The reason I asked this is that, I can't remember if I mentioned this last time. I did a leadership training, probably my first leadership training, probably close to 20 years ago. And we had done the Myers-Briggs. And one of the things it tells you is if you're more introverted or extroverted. And they had us go into different spots in the room. And let's say there were 25 people, like 21 or 22 were extroverts, and then there were 3 of us that were more introverted. And there's this thinking, and I think there's sort of I don't know if a bias may be too strong a word, but that leaders tend to be more extroverted. So I just wanted to reassure the introverts in the room. It's okay. Introverts can be really good leaders, even, so, and it's funny because there's a picture of Steve Jobs there. Apparently he was an extrovert. I have no idea who the introvert is,
Oh.
who is that?
That's, the other founder of Apple, Steve, yeah, the Y.
Okay. But maybe it's not surprising that the introvert is maybe a little less known, but I mean, he wasn't the CEO, but anyways. Introverts, I think the big distinction that, the way I view it is where you get your energy. So if you tend to get energized in a large group and being with people and interacting, you're more likely an extrovert. If you are one that goes home and kind of sits and reflects, you're probably more introverted. Introverts tend to be more quiet. They're not necessarily shy. They can be shy, but extroverts are more sociable. And it's, you can see here, I'm not going to go through it. And the reason, and both can be excellent leaders. It's not like one is better than the other. But the reason I put up here why introverts can make good leaders is that introverts often sit back and observe and process. They think, and then they speak. And sometimes extroverts think by speaking, and neither one is right or wrong. It's just they're different. And introverts can be very good listeners and self-aware, have thoughtful insights, but any type of personality type can be a great leader. So I wanted to talk about that. I did want to mention that if you tend to be, I am an introvert. I really appreciated when Casey came in today and she said she was anxious. Like, I still get anxious when I present, or like sometimes when people are going around and doing introductions, I'll sit there and think, okay, what am I gonna say? And it's just bizarre. Like after all these years, I still can get a little in my head about something as simple as doing an introduction or the icebreaker questions. So like I totally get it. I do icebreaker questions, but I can get anxious from those. But I lost my train of thought with that. Oh, I was gonna say that Casey mentioned that. So it's okay. It's okay to do that. It's okay to say, hey, sometimes I'm a little anxious. But the one thing that I do want to encourage in this group is that I hope everyone feels that they have a safe space to speak up and don't feel like you have to say something just to say, like, I totally get that. You don't want to feel like I really should say something because I haven't said anything, but just to allow the space. So for those of you, and I love the participation, so no way to discourage that, but allowing, if you have ideas and the ideas are fabulous, keep them coming, but just allowing enough space for those that might take a moment longer to process their thoughts, to speak up. So it's just an invitation for those that it's okay, it's okay either way, but I just want everyone to feel like they have a voice and they can speak up. So we'll probably mention this again. Did you want to comment?
Yeah, I just was curious. I just was curious because I always thought I was an extrovert, but reading I guess the criteria, I'm like, well, I have a lot of this, the same things from each group.
You did a perfect segue into my next slide. So what if I'm somewhere in between? And, this is the first year I've done this one because we've had the conversation of, well, I'm a little bit of both, in some settings I'm this or that. And it's okay, like we're complex. And so there is something that's called an ambivert who can recharge in either way, in both ways, depending on the situation, their comfort. An ambivert can enjoy social events, but also needs their downtime and can be comfortable in small groups and large groups, and they can kind of flex it. They might be introverted in some settings and extroverted in others. Is that? I was going to do that. And, sometimes I wonder too, like I've done the Myers-Briggs and I am an introvert, but it's a continuum. So I think it's really important, like to not, even when we're talking about labels or whatever, like we can flex. And then I was just reading up on this and I thought this was really interesting. And I just have to say in full disclosure, this is not terribly evidence-based, but I just thought it was kind of fun. So just take it with a grain of salt, but I think this is really new because I have not seen this before. Has anyone ever heard of this? An outrovert? You've heard of it?
I heard of it probably as recently as you have, because I saw like on LinkedIn.
I think I saw it, Zach was saying, like, I think I was scrolling and saw it on LinkedIn or maybe Instagram, like whatever, and I thought, oh, what's that? So, and so this, it's a new term, not terribly science-based, but it was by a doctor. This, I don't know what kind of doctor, Dr. Rami Kaminsky, and an outrovert is neither an introvert or an extrovert or an ambivert. So they value emotional independence. They focus on individuals and they form deep, authentic connections with individuals, but struggle to connect with groups, and value independent thinking and have discomfort with groupthink. And there were a few famous introverts here, Albert Einstein, Frida Kahlo, and Franz Kafka. So here's the difference. Again, it's something fun to think about because it's sometimes hard to know where we are, but this is a little different because it's not quite on the continuum. Where an introvert, where like an introvert is drawn inward and may find social interactions kind of draining. An introvert may be friendly and social with individuals, but lack a sense of belonging in groups. It's a little different. And compared to an extrovert who gains their energy from social interaction and being with others, the introvert is not comfortable in groups and does not gain energy from them. And they're different than an ambivert in that the ambivert flexes. The introvert doesn't flex. They have an inherent resistance to being part of a group, and they really lean on independent thinking. And I thought this was interesting. I don't know quite what to do with it, but I thought it was just for fun. So just something to think about. So Aisha, you had said you change your answer to ambivert. I might even change mine to ambivert. Anybody think they're an introvert?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, 100%.
Ah.
Yeah, sorry. Until like I'm reading this and I was just in the bathroom, so I don't know what the slide was before this, but just reading it of like the introverts are friendly and social with individuals, but lack a sense of belonging in groups. Like, and then like just the other parts, I secretly joke to just people who know are very, very close to me of like, everyone thinks I'm a people person, but I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like, I don't mean to say that I don't like people. Of course I love people, but it's also like, but then kind of not. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain it, and like reading it, it's like, okay, that's me. Because I would before identify as an introvert, but like just reading that of like, no, that's, I mean, I'm fine in groups. I love my group. So, yeah, but I don't know. It's almost like hard to explain, and I honestly like kind of just chalked it up to like this is just part of being autistic. You know what I mean? It's just like being, yeah, and maybe it is. I don't know. Things overlap a lot.
And thank you for sharing that. And I wonder too, in terms of thinking about anyone who's neurodivergent. And could they fall in this? It was just interesting to me. It doesn't have the science base of introvert and extrovert, but I think it's sure is interesting. Doesn't hurt to talk about it. And I realize the time, so I'm going to move us forward. Any other last comments on this? I'm not going to do this word cloud activity because it's past 4:30. Is that right? Yeah. So I really want to be mindful of time. So here are there are some things around professionalism. One thing I'm going to just mention now, because I think it's really important. I mean, of course, honesty, respect, integrity, all those things. But one of the things that and I don't think it's an issue at all with this group, but just the importance of being on time. And I know in clinical settings that you can get behind, but just really respecting people's time. I know when I was, I was like after I graduated college and I had an appointment and the person, I was late. And they said, when you're late, it makes me feel like you don't respect my time. And that was told to me once. And that was like, oh my gosh, the last thing I would want to do is say, I don't respect your time. So whatever it is for you, but just really being, I mean, things happen, traffic happens, but really, just, and we can talk more about it, but I just think it's really important to be on time. And if something comes up or you can't, life happens, just let us know. And it's not like I'm that much of a stickler about it, but that has been an issue in previous years. And I don't think people realize of how much that can impact trust if you're perpetually late. So just, that's my little spiel on punctuality. Now, these other things are probably even more important, but that was just one that sometimes gets overlooked. Okay, there's a nice little TED Talk that I have here. It's about inspired leadership and really identifying your purpose. And developing your purpose is kind of like smiling. There's a lot of research out there. It's really good for you. There is a worksheet on Canvas that takes you through 7 steps. You can use your hours for this. I encourage you to do it. If it's not your thing and you don't think you get any value out of it, don't do it. You don't have to. But I do think it's worth considering doing. And then if we had enough time, I was going to have us do this, and maybe we could even do it like in one of our mornings, like before we get started. Maybe we'll do that. It's kind of like a quick and dirty way to get at your purpose. But I thought we could do that for fun, but we don't have enough time. And that's it. So Mike, I'm going to pass